Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Finger Guns Podcast with Tony, Dave, and James. I'm here for this one. We got an interview episode, and I'm actually here. I'm your co-host Jimmy, and I'm here with
Big T, Tony B.
Yeah, and
always Sleepy Dave.
Always Sleepy Dave. You got the three of us for this one.
Woo!
You're
not in our hearts tonight. You're not in our hearts.
You're not in our hearts. I'm actually alive.
You're live and in person.
This isn't the Jimmy Memorial Finger Guns Podcast.
I will remember you.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you for always remembering me in your hearts.
Never gonna forget.
Never a moment. We had a very fun opportunity. We got to sit down with Tim, Cody, and Josh of the film The Last Video Store.
Yes. Yes. A very indie Canadian horror movie. B-movie horror movie.
Or maybe it should be a C movie because it's Canadian.
Canadian. It's a proper Canucksploitation film.
Yeah, Canucksploitation is, yes, that's it. That's definitely it.
That is an ode to the 80s and 90s.
Absolutely. And
it is a real treat to watch.
Yeah.
I loved this movie. I had a fucking blast.
It's dripping in a lot of colors. And
gore.
And a lot of
buckets of gore.
It's got lots of blood and goop and enough 90s VHS video store rental nostalgia to literally drown yourself in, to almost waterboard yourself in. It's great.
Absolutely.
What's nuts is that video store. Well, they shot it on a set, but that video store exists in real life.
Yeah. They took
and it looks like that.
It looks exactly like it.
Yeah, you'll hear during the interview, but apparently they took the actual dimensions of that video store, fudged it a little bit to obviously fit some cameras and lighting and stuff like that in there.
Magic.
But otherwise, that is a 1-to-1 recreation of a video store that actually exists out in Edmonton.
Yeah,
and stars the guy that owns the video store out in Edmonton. It's kind of great.
Kevin, yes.
Who plays a video store clerk in his own studio reimagined video store.
Absolutely, that is Kevin Martin.
Yes,
meta. It's like multiple layers of meta.
Yeah. It's quite great. So, the daughter of a longtime customer, character's name is Nyla, comes in and to return some videotapes, and then
finds a mysterious videotape.
Yeah, and shenanigans ensue.
Definitely.
Truly. I know
we
usually joke about shenanigans to kind of just like as like a broader haha, but like this is actual fucking shenanigans.
Yeah. No one laughed when I said shenanigans because it's
not this time.
Shenanigans.
Not this time.
Absolutely. We had a blast talking to them. We hope you have a blast listening to us. Yeah. And without further ado, here's our interview. So we'll start it off by asking Cody and Tim, how did this movie come to be? Like, what inspired you to make The Last Video Store?
Kevin Martin did, and the video store itself. So the movie is kind of based on Kevin Martin, the lead actor, who actually does still to this day run a video store in Edmonton, Alberta. And he really just like meeting him as like the person and meeting him as like the character that he plays, really like kind of fostered this idea that like the video store was just such an incredible place for like community and like horror movie knowledge that we just felt the need to encapsulate.
And a bit of his video store kind of acted as our film school as well, because we had made a ton of short films with him in the video store, just because they had run this local festival in Edmonton called Dead Fest, and he was one of the programmers, and they had a short film contest, and Tim and I were entering, and Josh was like the actor, and they were digging them. And then there was just a point when he was like, hey, like we're trying to put together like a montage of like Michael Biehn's best moments in like his movies, because there's a screening of a movie he made called The Victim, and he was going to be there. And they asked like, could you guys edit together like a montage of these clips? And then we're like, oh, maybe we could do like a little bit of a short film before, because Josh we really liked his Kyle Reese impression. from T1 of just like, what year is it, all that kind of stuff. So originally we wanted to shoot this like little short film in like this movie theater, a local movie theater they had, that they were going to do the screening, but they wouldn't let us. And then Kevin's just like, well, you could shoot it in my video store. So we like shot it in the video store. And then after that, they would do monthly screenings, and people were like, are you guys going to make another like short film? So we started to make short films for every screening they did. And we just kind of did our own spin on it. So they did like a Army of Darkness screening. So we'd make our own little Army of Darkness short film in the store. And then like Tim had mentioned before, it just was this place of inspiration and like our film school that eventually just like led to feature, because that was always the goal, was to just, you know, make a feature film. And this is what we was video stories.
And you shot the film in Hamilton, correct?
Yeah, it was like the film studio.
The film studio. So you basically just recreated Kevin's video store in the studio. You guys did a fabulous job. It looked amazing.
Tim drew up like blueprints based on the design, and then we just it was very similar to the actual video store. A couple changes. He could talk more about that.
Yeah, we added a few feet here and there just for camera and stuff like that, and a few flyaway walls. Josh and I did most of the construction ourselves because we were just so low budget that there was really no other option but to do it ourselves. So a lot of that set that you see is what Josh and I built, and Cody finished the roof or the ceiling in there because it was it just wasn't enough time for Josh and I to so a lot of that had to come in VFX as a lot of the times, and Cody and his team did a wonderful job of that. So I think we all kind of like contributed to making the space, and plus we didn't want to like shut down the shop and trash it, you know, like as movies are wont to do.
Yeah.
He couldn't really like, you know, he could barely afford to close the place for, you know, a month while we shot this movie. So it was kind of essential to keep the actual video store alive at the same time as, you know, making the world's longest commercial.
Yeah. And I don't think he would appreciate the geysers of blood that you threw all over the video store.
He never did in the shorts. Oh my goodness, like the anxiety that man had to suffer through to watch us just be like, well, we'll just like throw him right into the rack, and you know we'll light the couch on fire, like, you know, like stuff like that, and stories like that for like the 10 years leading up to the feature. He was very excited that we did not make that movie in his shop, because, you know, for a lot of reasons it might have been the death of it.
How many of the there's what, like 3,895 tapes? Am I right? Is that what?
3,685.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so I was a little off. So, how many of those are real tapes? How many of those were ones you created, and how did you come up with some of those ideas?
Well, the VHS was just like it kind of came down to like how much space can a DVD versus a VHS take up on the shelf. Because we knew, like, I'm a production designer by trade, so I kind of like knew that we were going to need clearance on all of these movies. So we needed to like kind of create all these titles. And I had the help of a colleague, Kevin Fung, who came up with a lot of these titles and like did the spines, and we printed that off and glued them onto VHS shipping cases, which are still available through like Canada Post and stuff like. So it was just kind of an interesting thing that like they were cheaper than actual VHS cases, because, you know, VHS has seen a bit of a resurgence in the last few years. So it was like, you know, 60 cents for a cardboard case, or, you know, $1.20 for an actual VHS. So we ended up going with these cardboard cases. So basically, it just came down to math. How many can we fit on here? How many did we print off? How many did we use? You know, how many cardboard cases did I order? I think at the end it was about 3,400 cardboard cases, and then the rest were like actual VHS cases that we had gotten from thrift stores and actual VHS, which a lot of them ended up on the desk. So we like custom made his desk out of some VHS, which is designed by Richard Lucas many shorts ago.
And then any close up you saw of tapes where, you know, we had like to a couple different categories. There was obviously the fake movie cases that we made hero tapes of, and then like some of the close-ups on spines. We put like we came up with some fun titles, and those were all kind of real made cases.
Nice. I enjoyed how close you threaded the line on some of the villains you pulled through the VHS tapes, and what were your inspirations going into it? Like which villains did you want to kind of bring into this universe? And I really enjoyed the lean on sort of a Jason Voorhees-esque goalie style that was very good. So yeah, just your inspiration around some of those villain choices.
I mean, they're pretty. There's a lot, but I guess with Caster, that was. I mean, Tim and I were always like, man, like Friday the 13th, so awesome. He's wears a hockey mask, but nobody ever mentions hockey. Like once the whole thing, so it's like it was natural for us to be like, well, we're going to take him and we're going to do our like cheap Canadian knockoff version, and it's going to be kind of all about hockey. So that was definitely that one. But some of the villains, I think it was a collection of like a lot of the movies we would rent when we were younger at the video stores, and some of the, just like that's how we kind of selected that, like the action hero, and then the alien inspired one, and then Caster was just there's a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme, and even like I mean, Scott Adkins wasn't really around back then, but I mean Scott Adkins is pretty rad. But Bloodsport. Bloodsport is kind of always referenced in a lot of our short films as well. From like some of the last video story, the first one. And then Tim, we're just huge fans of creature and like body horror and stuff like that. And that kind of ended up being the Prey Stalker. But yeah. And then the being 90s CGI. There, at one point, the idea was to do, again, every time the Prey Stalker was close to you, what we wanted it to be was like a big, practical, scary, dangerous like thing that would grab you. And then the wide shots, it was like a 90s CGI that was like, was fake. So the character would be kind of be like, okay, we need to be as far away from it as possible because it's not dangerous. But we couldn't really get that together in time. So we kind of just, okay, we're going to lean straight into the 90s CGI. But we're just a huge fan of practical creatures as well. For these guys.
Oh, Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about what inspired Viper when it came down to it?
Well, it's like what Cody was saying, whether there's a lot of inspiration from Jean-Claude Van Damme. There was one really particular that was like Michael Dudikoff from the Ninja movies. American Ninja. And that was something that would really inspired. But I know Tim told me to do some homework, and that was watch a lot of Steven Seagal. Now
you see it a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of rubbed off on me a little bit, but it was just watching all of those movies prior to getting on set. I felt so like gross. I felt so mean, like I was actually gonna like hurt people, and obviously that's the character's mentality. But it was mostly Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I noticed a few people, they were saying that they even got some Chuck Norris vibe, and there was a little bit in there as well. So it's kind of just pieces from most of it, but I'm sure you can also hear when Viper hits the VCR, the classic Jean-Claude Van Damme scream.
The Kumite.
Yeah.
Kumite.
Yeah, it's our Kumite moment. Yeah, it's that's kind of where I pieced and hodgepodge this all together, and Viper just came to be.
Nice. You guys shot this in 2021, correct? Like during COVID?
2022.
2022?
2021, and then we shot in like March of 2022.
So what were some of the challenges that you faced as like a very like micro budget film to you, Tim and Cody, as filmmakers, the challenges that you face, and also to you, Josh, as an actor, what kind of challenges did you face as well?
We actually
definitely the work ourselves. I know like resonated like a lot of the pre-production was done by Josh and I. Like had to run the art department at the same time as like trying to unfold the like complexity of the first feature and like what that means, and like not only just like a director and a writer's perspective, but production designer and like kind of like light producer, like associate producer, like where you're having to organize things and people. So it was like going into this project in that time, especially, there's a lot of like contingency you needed, especially at the like a height kind of or not necessarily the height, but within the like realm and scope of COVID. So like having a lot of our crew like close and accessible, and asking them to kind of like close off their lives. Eventually we did get a bit of a COVID scare during the production, which meant that we were on hiatus until the COVID had passed. Which any like young filmmakers or like low budget filmmakers out there know, like anytime there's a pause in production, like it is the scariest time in the world. Like you never know if the money is just going to turn around and be like not worth it, and throw it on the shelf with the hundreds of other stories we've heard. But actually, they came through. They stuck with us through the minor break, and we had a lot of help from Steve Kostansky, another prominent Canadian in the genre scene. I was able to go and talk to him because we had to return some of his special effects during the break because we were going to go over time. So he's like, "Oh, I need those things back." So we needed that's where the Tommy's head joke comes from, is that we had to give back the head that we were going to use for that because he had other projects and other commitments. So it's just like, but he helped me a lot by like kind of like reassuring me that like any filmmaker would kill for some extra time to like really like ingest the finale of their movie and plan for that. And I think in the end it really benefits us.
And to you, Cody, do you have anything to add?
It was tricky. It's hard. I mean, that's what everyone said. Yeah. Like I said, it was a little bit scary. Yeah, I thought it would, at least the COVID aspect of it was an adjustment. But yeah, that's kind of like that was a question, right?
Yeah. And Josh, any challenges that you faced?
I mean, there were many hats worn by all of us, and right from the start, I was just having a blast. Honestly, like I find that people work best in a stressful environment because that's when the art really does shine. But at the end of the day, I mean, it was very hard for Cody, especially hard for Tim, and everyone on board when we had to shut down. And it's just like what Tim was saying, like the majority of the time, people would just pull the plug. And that's kind of what was on the back burner of our mind. It's just like, we're done. Like, this is it. But for some reason, I have this, Tim thinks that I have like a horseshoe stuck up my butt, but I felt that we were going to be fine. I just knew that we were going to progress. So I wasn't overly stressed. Like, yeah, I was there for my friends as much as I could be. But at the end of the day, I knew that we were still going to see this through and be together for it. And that's why, I was confident enough that we would achieve our mission.
Yeah, the post-production was pretty tricky. I guess we could speak to that. But we shot like in 15 days, like in the studio, it was really quick and really fast. And again, there was a week delay. And then it ended up, we had to shoot a lot of extra bits that display on the TV, and we did a lot of that just like in my living room, like literally just like Tim, Josh, and myself. Like I had a green screen set in my living room for like a year. And then you guys were working at this kind of studio. We were able to kind of come in on the weekends and like use chunks of that. And both Josh and I had, we put the caster costume on to do insert shots, and because Josh kept putting you in the caster costume, and you're like, I'm not doing it again. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the caster costume on. That like hood, we've all just wore this like silicone hood that now has like all of our essence in it. so like we had like, yeah, this really intense, production with the video store. And then we spent like like a year after just shooting this little bits as like the three of us, like, okay, what do we need to shoot this weekend? Like in my living room or here or there, which is kind of fun. It's very stressful, but like that's how we've always kind of known, like, making videos with your buddies, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and that's how it comes off. The film really feels like a labor of love. Like you guys really like believed in the story, and you really wanted to bring it to the screen. You see that come through, and I really like that.
Appreciate it.
Actually, on the heels of sort of the things that you did as inserts, the film opens with the video store commercial. Is that Kevin's real commercial, or did you guys make that one for this movie?
We made it for this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a weird one because we didn't really think to shoot it in the actual when we had the set. We didn't have time, so we ended up actually shooting Kevin like way later on like a green screen, and then knowing that it would kind of have VHS effects, overlaid, we could we had images of the set that just kind of put behind them and made this commercial.
Which is actually part of the origin of the feature itself was Kevin had asked us, he's like, hey, we've done all these shorts, you guys have trashed my shop, will you please make me a commercial for the video store that I can like get put on like Canadian public television and kind of get it out there? And we're like, yeah, of course, buddy. And then we got there, we shot a short instead of an actual commercial, and then Kevin's like, okay, like where's that commercial? And Cody's just like, working on it, buddy. I'm working on it. And a year later, had a short film, and we entered into South by Southwest and managed to land a debut there. So that was like, we took the video store commercial, and that's literally what the short is called. But and it's this whole little like ghost short, and there's all this other stuff kind of like mixed into this, and it's not a commercial at all for his video store, regrettably. So then that got in, and we were able, through that, like getting into that festival, we were able to access a few like film markets and stuff like that. And then using that short, we were actually able to pitch the feature length film. So now that the feature length film is on Arrow, and I think Kevin to date has sold over 300 copies in his store in Edmonton. I feel like we did the commercial thing. Like we actually, a feature length movie. Well, feature length is like 75 minutes, but like it's a very, very long commercial. But I think it did better for his store than our short would have. So it all worked out in the end.
You mentioned Arrow. We're big physical media guys. How did you guys like get together with Arrow to put out the special edition?
That was like because we had when we were first kind of in pre-production, like before pre-production, there was the sales team, Blue Finch, who like really liked like our pitch material and wanted to like sign on to help sell the movie. So they were kind of on in the beginning, and then once we finished it, I think they approached Arrow, and we honestly, Tim and I were just like, the movie finished, the play at some fest, we're just kind of like, okay, like. Any word, guys? Like, we're gonna get it? Is it coming out? And then we kind of found out through that they're like, yeah, like Arrow's gonna put it out. And then obviously we're all like, I got like 30 Arrow Blu-rays in my closet back then. Like, yeah. So is it? I think for all of us, it was kind of like the perfect like scenario for us, like just for that to happen for this project.
Yeah, as such Arrow fans, like I couldn't even have picked that if somebody was just like, who would you pick to like distribute your movie? I'd be like, oh, like it'd be nice to be like on Shudder or whatever. I'd be like almost too humble to say Arrow. So when we heard that news, and then they were like, hey, here's the artist like doing your cover, and I was just like if anybody understands the importance and the value and the community that video stores represent, like it's Arrow Video for sure. So it's just like, to be welcomed into that community was just like incredible. And I'm so happy with the like the front cover, because anybody that knows video stores know like it's the cover that's going to sell somebody first. Like first and foremost is like it barely matters what's on the back of that. If that cover is good enough, like you're watching that movie and waiting for it to be as good as that. And I think they nailed it and kind of overshot maybe a little bit. But like somebody might watch the movie and be like, "Wow, I'm not quite as good as the cover." But like, to me, that's a great success because we set out to make a B movie, and I feel like we achieved that, and with the help of Arrow Video, and then watching some of the special features, like watching the essays or the essayists that I've like respected for so long in their like in their movies and in what they distribute, having those essays like that I've listened to and valued before, like talk about the movie that we like wrote and made as like a group of goofy friends that just like thought this was a good idea, like, and to hear them reflect on it was like some really surreal stuff. So like as a filmmaker, there could be no better place to be than Arrow Video.
Yeah, definitely. And Greg was telling me that you guys were doing really well with the pre-orders. You guys sold out of the limited edition, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Arrow Video printed 1,400 copies, and we're in phase 2 of printing now. So couldn't get much better than that. They are sold out of pre-sales, and in March they'll be issuing some more, and we're still yet to come out in Canadian distribution, which will have a whole new set through Black Fawn distributions out in the east coast of Canada. Like they're putting out a totally different version with different commentaries and different special features. So it's like we're kind of getting this like double release, which is really amazing as well.
Well, congratulations to you guys. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And now it feels we have to own 2 versions of this movie.
Yeah, now we each need 2 versions of it.
Gonna have to
both versions. They seem to have perks that really shine through both companies. It's like Tim was saying, the essays were beautifully done. As I was listening to them, I'm like, this is a point of view that I didn't even look at, and it was very astute. The perks on Black Fawn as well really interested me though, because they also have like a VHS that kind of comes with it. So I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get me one of those because I want to see our movie on a VHS, and that makes everything absolutely surreal.
And we do we weren't able to get like a commentary in time for the Arrow disc, so they had their own commentary. So that Black Fawn, we actually all went to Kevin's video store and like watched the movie together and did the commentary like on his gnarly ass couch. Yeah. Which he's had for like the last 14 years, which we wanted to really replicate in the movie, but we couldn't quite get the same touch. But it was still.
So how does he feel about all of this now? You guys like you said, he sold so many copies of the movie. You immortalized his video store. How does he feel?
I mean, Kevin. I mean, like maybe Tim. You could speak to this. I want to guess he feels pretty good. I think all of us felt like if we weren't able to make this movie, it'd be the one thing we'd kind of regret on our deathbeds because we had talked about it for so long. And you look back and be like, oh, I can't believe we didn't fucking do it. Kind of thing. But, like.
I mean, Kevin has had just like such a surreal experience. I don't think he ever intended to be an actor. He kind of set out when we met him. He was like, "Oh, I got all these like script ideas and stuff," but bless his soul, he's got amazing ideas, but he's a bit of a lazy writer, so he just never really like got the work. But he's got all these incredible ideas. So like, him and I working together very closely on the script. A lot of his rants as like the character Kevin, like those are just Kevin. That's like that's the genuine experience of talking to Kevin about something he loves. Like he's just got nothing but like shining love for things, and then like this other side that is just kind of like this grumpy video store. I've seen it all kind of essence that we needed to capture. So I think for him to like sit at his desk and like across the entire shop is the like new releases wall where his face, like beautifully rendered on the Arrow video, is kind of staring back at him. He's kind of had this like real like resurgence in love kind of come from not only just like running the video store in the community, but also, like talking to people and going to film festivals. And it's somewhat of a dream come true, because I think a lot of video heads and video store people, like people that work in video stores, would have loved to kind of experience the like film industry and like what it has to offer. And I think Kevin is still kind of like digesting a little bit on the like, oh, I went to the party, you know, like I was invited, people recognized me, and you know, like people in the street will start to see him not only as the guy that runs the video store, but like that actor guy who works on the Ave, and I think that's been really surreal for him as well, and hopefully a big boost to his business, because you know really that's what we started out to do is make Kevin famous, really, because we just loved him so much that it was just like it would be like Cody said, like it would be an absolute crime not to share this guy with the world, and like the experience of being in his video store is truly a unique one.
Sure. You know, like I feel like I can speak for the three of us and say that like we had a lot of fun watching this movie, and it obviously was a big passion for the three of you to deliver, and it all shines through so very well. I definitely had like a huge smile on my face while I was watching it. It's just a lot of fun to go through, and on the heels of that, so either the three of you combined or separately, like what's next for you guys? What's coming down the pipeline?
I guess like as a, because I think you know, him and I both have things that we want to try doing, and we're both helping each other out on them. Like, you know, get that one project that we can help each other out on. We both kind of spearhead, and then there's also, you know, if we live inside the video store world, there was, you know, ideas of like trying to pitch kind of like a episodic thing that would happen, you know, after the film, which we would both just kind of dive in on, and Josh as well as just in all of that. So
Josh is directing his first short. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah,
that's right.
You got to put me on the spot like that, baby. I mean, I got to get a little directing experience if we're going to do anything episodic, because then I can jump on that chair and express the story that I would love to be told. I am currently working on a short film where I am taking the director's seat for the first time. I don't want to perform in it. I do want to direct an individual, and I've been piecing it all together, even put the story together, and have a wonderful writer at the studio I work for, who also happens to have a motion picture that he's currently working on, or he has a role for me, and then that will tie into another story that Tim has also worked on. So we're all kind of now branching out. But to answer your question, if we were all to, you know, get back together, Cody or Tim, I will be there in a bloody heartbeat. And they can throw all the goo and slime and blood on me they want, and I'll laugh about it, because that's something, you know, it's almost like the Bruce Campbell to them. Yeah. But it'd be nice to, you know, finally, you know, sit back behind the screen without all that blood and guts on me and watch someone else endure that kind of experience.
And then Tim and I, you know, we spent 10 years kind of in the video store, so we definitely have like, you know, the stories that we want. Okay, we get, you know, want to get one outside the video store, then I go back in it. But yeah, I guess I could say like I'm working on something called A Night in a Hole, or just Night in a Hole, which is like a night, KNI.
Okay. I see what you did there.
That's awesome. It's like an adventure movie told inside a hole. Like
We're there.
Everything you piece together sounds pretty cool, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's the teaser. Full armor, stuck.
Well,
Cheers.
we would. Well, we wish you guys all the best.
Hours. What?
No, go ahead.
You're the worst.
What?
Yeah.
You're the worst.
Sorry, continue your thought, Cody.
No, I mean that's the tease, and then we'll get started. So yeah, just 127 hours meets maybe Monty Python, Jabberwocky, Flesh and Blood kind of.
Buddy, we are there. Just you let us know and just take our money. We're ready. We're ready.
We're there.
Before we like weird medieval like manuscript art and stuff is planned. I just feel like no one's tapping into that like anymore, and I'm like, I want to go full on. So,
Do it.
Do it.
Before we sign off, when is the Black Fawn edition going to come out? Is the film going to any more festivals in Canada? What's the distribution idea in Canada?
So we have a few more theatrical dates coming up, which is kind of like a little bit like last minute, kind of emphasizing the Canadian release. That'll be in the first weeks of March. That Black Fawn will be putting out their Blu-ray and their version, and then I think at the end of March they'll be putting out the like Blacklist version, which is the version that Josh had referenced with the VHS. So that's going to be kind of like launched as like a separate, like kind of like full deal package. You'll get a lot of great features on the other Blu-ray, but if you want the VHS, like you got to kind of sign up for the pre-sales. So then after March, the and Arrow Video kind of will open up the international release. So we'll start to see the Last Video Store on a few more streaming services. We're currently just on the like Arrow streaming service, but after March we'll start to see that kind of expand out into some of the other digital venues.
Quick one though, there it is on like a Spanish language streaming service, and I don't remember what it is, but we saw a clip because Kevin shared it because it's like they full on like dubbed the movie, and we're like, oh. So we like saw the voices used for Kevin and Yaya, and it was pretty good. I think that would be the funnest thing for us is to like, if the movie gets dubbed in other languages, and that would be like a reason for us to keep rewatching it. It was just to kind of see, the approach of
just to hear
it's fun.
Interpretion's voice, which is a very unique thing. Like the Spanish one just nailed it. Like it's just understood perfectly, and it was like, well, I guess that's what he would sound like if he was Spanish. So that's been really kind of see as the international versions kind of get released bit by bit has also been like quite an experience.
Amazing. Well, we'll have to pre-order the Black Fawn edition because we definitely need to add that to our collection. Tim, Cody, Josh, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the film. Congratulations on all the success and all the best in the future.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. Tony, James, and Dave.
You got it.
You got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
You got it.
All the best, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Take-
Night.